Good morning, everyone. Welcome into this 5-minute morning devotion. I'm so glad you chose to join me again today, and I pray that you have a great and blessed Thursday. We are continuing walking through the book of Psalms, and we are on Psalms chapter 18. We're on part 3, and we're reading Psalms 18, 16 through 24. And I hope that you are enjoying these as much as I am. It has been a blessing to read through Psalms with you. So here we are at Psalms 18 and verse 16. He sent from on high, he took me. He drew me out of many waters. He rescued me from my strong enemy, from those who hated me, for they were too mighty for me. They confronted me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a broad place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. The Lord dealt with me according to my righteousness. According to the cleanness of my hands, he rewarded me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his rules were before me, and his statutes I did not put away from me. I was blameless before him, and I kept myself from guilt. So the Lord has rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his sight. Now the first day we talked about this psalm being a psalm of David when the Lord delivered him from his enemies. And we talked about what David knew the Lord to be to him: a rock, a fortress, a strong tower, a place he could run for safety. Yesterday we talked about the response to David's cry to the Lord, and he began to talk about all the things that the Lord began to do, the thunderings in the heavens and all of these different things, the wrath and the breath of his nostrils, and those things that were terrifying and frightening to the enemy. And David said after that response, the Bible says from David, he sent from on high and he took me. In other words, when he came in and he frightened the enemy, he took David out of the trouble. He rescued me from a strong enemy and from those who hated me. They were too mighty for me. Can I tell you today, when the enemy seems that he is so great and the enemy seems that he is going to take you out, the Lord is going to step in and make a way for you. You need to understand today that the Lord's response to your call will always be deliverance. It may not be in the moment you think that it will happen, but it will always happen. David said he brought me into a broad place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. The Lord wants to establish you. The Lord wants to put you in a place of security. The Lord wants to put you in a place where you are safe under the pavilion of his hand and you can find safety within calling upon his name. The Lord delights in his children. The Lord will deal according to our righteousness, which we know only comes through him. So when you follow him and you walk with him and you allow him to be the God of your life, you can know and rest assured he will take pleasure in the righteousness that you walk in walking with him. David said, this is why he delivered me, because he saw that I was righteous because I walked with him. He said, I was blameless before him and I kept myself from guilt. He said, so the Lord rewarded me according to that. He said, I walked with the Lord, and because I walked with him, I was able to walk blameless before him. I was able to keep myself from guilt because the Lord not only come to rescue me, not only was he a shelter and a strong tower, not only was he frightening to the enemy, but the Lord was also a help to help me and you and David walk before him guiltless and blameless. The only way to live life is to live it with God and live it for God. Because there is no other life worth living than living with the Lord. He is everything we need. We have seen in this psalm everything that the Lord can be for us. And so we ought to walk with him. And we ought to let our enemies know that nothing that the enemy does is going to detour us or cause us to walk away from walking with Jesus. Come on today. Let's walk with him and let's give it everything we got, because we know that he is everything we need.